Hi everyone, it's Nisha here. Welcome to my page again. So today is day 17 of our 30-day life challenge, and I'm quite excited to talk about housekeepers. Now, when you're starting your service accommodation, you will most probably start thinking about, okay, I can easily get a cleaner to do this, to do that. It should work. I've got this cleaner, she's really good. Actually, you need to stop and think again, because service accommodation cleaning is completely different to your normal domestic cleaning. And if you have got really good contacts of domestic cleaners, they actually might be the wrong person to start with, because they have already got a good experience about domestic cleaning. They might struggle to understand service accommodation cleaning. So I'm not saying they're not the right candidate, but you need to do a bit of training with them. So when you're recruiting, what are the first few things you need to consider? For me, number one is to look for reliable people. Now, it's always very difficult in an interview to understand whether they're reliable or not, but you can always set up questions around the topic you want to address. So number one is how reliable they are. So you may ask a few questions about, if they've come across a situation or somebody was ill, what do they do, blah, 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 and try and understand how reliable they are from what they're telling you. So it's very, very important. Number two is to be able to assess whether they're trustworthy. So two things you can ask is, for example, can you describe yourself? Can you give me 5 words to describe yourself? And just try and see whether trustworthy is one of the key abilities that they list down, because it's very difficult to identify. Anybody can say I'm trustworthy, but if they did not come up with it quickly, that may be just a planned answer. So you really need to understand it when you're doing the interview and establish whether they are reliable and whether they're trustworthy. Now, experience, which is what we were talking about earlier, is also important, but I always think that if somebody is experienced as a domestic cleaner, they have their own standard that they have set, which unfortunately is very different to service accommodation. And sometimes they struggle because what they think is acceptable may not be acceptable in a service accommodation. So one example is, if you're a domestic cleaner, you go into somebody's house, you might not, for example, disinfect the light switch because the same person staying in the property all the time. It might not be something that they require. However, in a service accommodation environment, making sure that the light switch are disinfected is very important. And that's where your domestic experience cleaner can have a bit of a challenge. So what you need to do is actually spend some time training them. But what we tend to do is, after the interview, if they do get selected, we actually pair them with somebody for a week, and they go for a thorough training so they can understand what is expected from them. So you're kind of not leaving them on a property and just letting them get on with it, which I'm sure you wouldn't do if you're starting for the very first time, but you'll kind of rely on them to know what needs doing, and that shouldn't be the case. You need to make sure that you know what's good for your property, and make sure that they understand that the level of cleaning that you require. You need to make sure that you are overseeing their work. So once they've done the cleaning, maybe have another member staff to go and check if they've done the cleaning properly. If they have put all the little toiletries that you put on the bed, have they put it in the way that you want them to put them? So that's all very important. Attention to detail. Do they have the attention to detail? Again, these are things you can pick up on your interview, but it's also making sure that we go in and you check and making sure they are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. But what can be very useful as well is to give them a checklist. So a checklist will help them remember all the things that they need to check and make sure that it is done properly. So for example, on your checklist, you're not going to necessarily make sure you clean the bathroom, because they would do that. But what you can put is make sure you have a spare toilet roll inside the cupboard, and give them little help on hint of how you want your property to be set up. It's very, very important, because it will make their life easier, but it also make your life easier, because the last thing you want is to have a guest complaining, I haven't got this, or this is missing, or the place wasn't cleaned properly, this wasn't looked at. So you want to avoid all this by making sure you're supporting them. But I think finally what I would say is that it's also very important to understand them, because being a housekeeper looking after service accommodation properties is not an easy job. Apart from compensating them financially for that, you also need to look at understanding the level of work that they're going through, because most of them, they are carrying linen throughout the day, they're moving furniture sometime for you, they're doing a lot of heavy handling work, which means that they do get tired. So it's very important to treat them very well so that they can stay with you, because the longer they stay with you, the less you're going to be training new people on board, the less mistake the new people are going to be making, because your long-term employees or contractors know the job inside out and will be able to look after your property very well compared to new people that's coming on board. So it's very important for you to start making sure that you treat them very well so they can stay with you longer. If they're going out and doing one-off job by just cleaning. Hi Elena, hope you're doing very well, nice seeing you here. So if you've got one of your housekeeper doing one-off job, last minute job that you task them, make sure you do thank them for them. Make sure you do compensate them for them. So one of the things that we do is, if any of the cleaning has been missed out or there's been a problem and we ask them to go out last minute, we'll pay them 1.5 times, because that's them going out last minute to a job. Now, you want to have flexibility with them, but you want to be able to compensate for the flexibility that you give them. So there is a reason for them to carry on doing it. Otherwise, why will they be flexible for you all the time? They don't have to. I'm sure they've got other life commitment. I'm sure once they've got home, they don't want to come out and do another clean. So you have to remember that and make sure that you compensate them for that. But make sure you make them feel recognized for the work that they do, and also praise them. I mean, I'm so proud of one of my housekeepers. She won the award of Unsung Hero, and that was an amazing achievement. Apart from that, she did get a reward for it as well. She got a reward from the award company, but she also got one from us. So it's important to recognize when somebody is doing very well, so you can motivate them and encourage them to carry on doing that. So I hope you have found this useful. If you have, please like it, or just ask any question if you have any question, or let me know what other topic you would like me to cover. See you all soon. Take care. Bye, Elena. Bye.